I spent over $1,700 on 5 broken PS5 consoles from eBay, and in this video, we're going to take an in-depth look at everything and see if we can get all these consoles in working condition. Now, first of all, this eBay listing is a little bit weird. It says for parts are not working, so you would assume all the consoles are broken, but you go down to the description and it says each console was tested for 20 to 45 minutes and seemed to work fine. It does say there might be some physical defects for the consoles, and they say they don't guarantee the functionality of the consoles, so I'm really not sure what to expect here. And as you can see, we've got this massive box, so let's go ahead and start taking everything out of the box. So I have all these consoles unwrapped, and when I was first looking at them, I could already tell there's some issues here. So let's go one by one through each console and take a look at them. All right, got console number 1 here, and we'll label these in a second, but we'll call this console number 1. And first thing I already noticed is that the top is straight up falling off. I think we got a broken clip there. It looks like pretty beat up, and oh baby, that thing is filthy on the inside. Wow. Okay, that's caked with dust. We'll check that out later. Now let's go ahead and flip it over to the front, and man, that thing is beat up on the front. Like somebody could not find the USB port. Just look at that thing. Look how many times they scratched that up. Now coming on the back here. Oh, the back is falling off as well. Looks like we have some tape residue from something. And again, just filthy. Wow, man. What in the world? Okay, so console 1. Hopefully it turns on and works. It is indeed filthy. Let's go ahead and label that one, put it to the side, and we'll take a look at console number 2. All right, hopefully they're not all like this, but we got number 2 here, and the top looks fine. It's got some, what is that, like paint there? Interesting. Here on the front, oh man, how do you even scratch a PS5 like that? Like it's got this barrier of a plate here, so like how would you, I don't know, man. Oh, and this whole piece looks like something is jacked up about that. I'm not sure what. All right, so you can see in this video kind of what the deal is, and it's weird. Like it's almost like the top and bottom piece are separated and made it so that the light up portion is outside of the black bar. Not a great sign. Now flipping over to the bottom, beat up a little bit, but not too bad. And then looking at, oh man, what on earth? I'm looking at the back here. The USB ports in this one are like destroyed. How? The world, like just I'll show you a photo, but what in the world? Those are just like mutilated and both in the same way. That's so weird. But yeah, that's console number 2. Let's go ahead and move on to the third one. Now console 3. Hey, that top looks pretty good. Hey, the front doesn't look too terrible. Somebody was trying to find that USB port again and scratched it all up, but all things considered, compared to the last 2, it's not so bad. All right, console number 4, a bit beat up there, top and bottom, yeah, not too bad. Back is, oh wait, hold on, there we go. This piece right here is like kind of broken and misaligned. I mean, the front looks fine, it's beat up, but it doesn't look like misaligned. Now console number 5, I'm getting a good look at as I pull it over here, and I can already tell it's got some interesting defects going on here. So first of all, on the top, looks like some like tape residue. Then on the bottom, a little bit beat up, but not too bad. Here in the front, same kind of deal as the other ones where it's not too bad, but it's got some scratches and whatever. Oh, and here on the top, I don't know if you can see that very well, but like another piece is kind of broken out right there and misaligned. These are almost like, I wonder if all these consoles were dropped some way or fashion. Like, ooh, the HDMI port does not look good on this one. Like, I'll show you a close-up of that, but the HDMI port does not look good. And then I also noticed this side is like misaligned, kind of broken out. But yeah, I'd say console 1, 2, and 5 are all definitely in the worst condition, but supposedly they all work. So let's plug them in now and see if any of them actually work. All right, console number 1, let's go ahead and boot this bad boy up and see if it works. And just as a reminder, this is the one that's filthy. The top piece is broken. Hopefully it turns on. Hey, the fan works. Blue light is turning on. And hey, this console does indeed boot up. Now the true test is seeing if this connects to Wi-Fi and is not banned, because we all remember the PS5 I got from Wish that was banned. Check that video up on the screen if you want to watch that video. All right guys, so despite this console being filthy on the inside and having a broken top piece, it does seem to fully work. You know, I played PS4 and PS5 games on this thing. I downloaded Astro's Playroom and it worked fine. I connected to the Wi-Fi and signed in. It's not banned. All the ports are not loose, which is good to see. I even used my USB tester to test all the USB ports and make sure those work. So we are good to go here, surprisingly. Let's go ahead and turn it off and test out console number 2. All right guys, so console number 2 mostly works. For some reason, 3 USB ports do not work. As I showed you earlier, the 2 on the back are like mutilated. The USB-C on the front just doesn't work for some reason. The 4th one does work, fortunately. Now on this console, we are fully up to date, 7.2. The last console I didn't show you, but we were on 7.01, I think, so pretty recent. But yeah, everything on here works, discs work. Internet works, all good. Let's move on to console number 3 now. All right guys, console 3 is good to go as well. All the games work, USB ports work, internet works, all that good stuff. Now, the console does smell a bit musty, like it's been in a basement or storage for a while. You know, I bet it's pretty dirty on the inside, but we'll check later when we open it up. Let's go ahead and move on to console number 4. So console number 4 is mostly good. I had one slight issue, which is when you eject a disc, it kind of takes a while to eject. I'll show a video on screen. It's just a little bit odd. We'll have to inspect that when we open the console up. Let's go ahead and move on to number 5. All right, so last but not least, console number 5 is good to go. go. Really, the only concern I had here was the HDMI port, which, as you saw earlier, was a little bit messed up, but I'm having no problems. It doesn't even really wiggle around or anything, so that's good to go. Now, let's go ahead and open these consoles up, take a look at the insides, because I think we're going to have some interesting surprises in a few of these consoles. Thanks to Ranvu for sponsoring today's video. So this right here is the Ice 3, and it's Ranvu's smart neck air conditioner. Let me just explain. So basically, you take this device, you put it around your neck, and then you can make the two thermal pads either heat or cool, and you can also adjust the fan speed. And hey, by the way, the battery on this thing lasts for 24 hours in fan mode. And unlike ordinary fans, the Ice 3 blows cool air, not hot air, and it provides 25 degrees of additional cooling compared to other cooling devices. So now, when would you use a device like this? Well, maybe you're taking a walk on a hot summer day, or maybe you're out by the pool trying to get a tan, or maybe you're like me out in your backyard throwing the tennis ball to your dog. You can even take this thing off your neck and put it on the stand right here and use it as an external fan. So to get the best deal on Ranvu's product, check out their Indiegogo campaign down below and get 35% off. You can also purchase the Ice 3 on Amazon or Ranvu's website, and I'll have all the links down below. So let's start with console number 1, and this is the one that you're familiar with that had the broken top piece. I actually was able to snap it back on, but it's, as you can see, filthy. We saw this earlier, filthy in the fan. Let's go ahead and flip it over and take off the bottom piece as well. Bottom is not quite as bad. Now, the interesting thing here is it looks like the eBay seller put their own like third-party warranty seal here, because that right there is the OEM one, but let's go ahead and take all those stickers off. All right, let's do the fan reveal here. Oh, baby. That is so caked. And you know what? The heat sinks actually don't look terrible. It definitely needs to be cleaned out. Not as bad as some PS5 heat sinks I've seen. Alright, so overall, this console number 1 was actually not nearly as bad as I thought it would be based on the broken plates on the outside, the dirty fan. The inside is actually not too bad, but we'll clean it up on the inside, blow it out, and wipe it down, and list it on the website down below in the description. So one other thing I could do here is go all the way down to the liquid metal, but I went on this one since the console doesn't look too bad. Now, if I see anything suspicious going on inside of any of the other consoles, we'll for sure go down to the liquid metal. So we're going to put this console to the side. We'll move on to console number 2. All right, so console number 2, I'm very interested to see what's going on in here, because as you saw, the front is like scraped on the concrete almost, and the front pieces are just coming apart. Oh, and this is also the one that has the messed up USB ports. It looks like somebody opened this up and they were trying to put it back together and just scratched it all over the place. Actually pretty clean compared to the last console. And we do still have the OEM sticker here and the third-party warranty sticker that I guess the eBay seller stuck on there. So let's go ahead and peel those off. Now I'll go ahead and do the fan reveal here. And yeah, fan is not bad at all. A little bit of dust and dirt, but nothing crazy. Now, I think it's pretty obvious this console was dropped in some form or fashion. We have our scrapes right here, and then we have a bunch of plastic just bending in right there. I'm having trouble getting that screw out because of how the plastic is bent there. And, of course, we saw the parts that were just coming apart. I'm going to get this piece off and see what it looks like underneath, and we'll probably get a better look at what's going on here. All right, so I finally got this piece off, and I got that screw out right there. And as you can see, the screw is completely bent. And honestly, it already looks a lot better. Before this little clear piece was sticking out like this, and I was able to just kind of push it together and clip it back into place. And there's even like the motherboard is actually bent a little bit down there. I'm surprised this console is fully working, because it's, it was clearly dropped in this corner. Luckily, that corner is probably the least important corner of the console. And then even this ribbon cable right here looks a little rough. Let me pull it out and show you. Like, dude, I can't believe that ribbon cable is working. It's so mutilated and squished up, but I guess it's not torn apart at all. It's just squished. Now, something else weird I'm seeing is here on the shielding, I'm seeing some like weird splattering effect, almost like, I don't know if it was liquid in there. Even down here, you can see some, I don't know if somebody spilled some liquid in here or what. Yeah, so this is really interesting. There was definitely something leaked here, because you can see all around the edges of the shielding here, just some like signatures of leakage or something. I guess the shielding did its job, because the console works fine. You can see here on the board, it looks kind of weird too, all around the edges. All right, oh wow, what happened here? Look at that heat sink, just like the color is way off there, and you could tell something leaked onto it and just dried. Then down here on the battery, you have straight up rust. And then yeah, looking down here at the bottom too, it's the same kind of deal. You got some leakage spots. It's like, I'm not an expert on this kind of these substances, so I'm not sure what it is, but let me know down below if you know. Very weird though. But anyway, I decided I was going to go down to the liquid metal here just because this console looks so weird, and yeah, it looks fine actually. So that's good to see. All right, guys, so we have a few things to discuss about this console. Now, first of all, Danny and I were trying to come up with a theory about what exactly happened to this console, and I think the best thing we came up with was the fact that, first of all, as you saw, we have two issues. Somebody definitely dropped the console, and then also something was spilled on here that caused all this corrosion, and specifically at the battery, where you saw the battery was like all rusted and corroded and stuff. So our theory is that somebody dropped this console, at either a pool or a beach, somewhere with like salt water, chlorine water, that sort of thing. So when they dropped it on that corner, it splashed up some sort of liquid. And specifically, I'm saying this because the battery is close to where that drop was. So all that, let's say, salt water splashed up into the battery, corroded the battery, and caused all that that rust, and then, you know, just leaked everywhere. That's our best theory. No idea if that's what happened or not. But what I am going to do here is I've already cleaned up some of this board with isopropyl alcohol and a Q-tip. Now, it doesn't get rid of the white staining and stuff, but it at least gets rid of the residue, that sort of thing. And I also cleaned up the battery terminal here, and I'm actually going to replace it because if you look at this battery here, it looks pretty bad. And I just happen to have another CR 2032 battery here. So on to console number 3. Let's hope it's better than number 2. And oh my goodness, that is filthy. Holy crap. And just by the way, this is a 2021 console, so it's only a year and a half old, and it's got this much dust. Like, it just amazes me every time I see a console with this much dust. I gotta take some photos of it. All right, now for the bottom, and just as bad. Caked in dust. As soon as I take those plates off, it's flying everywhere. Of course, we have that warranty sticker again. But let's take everything apart, take it out, and see what the inside looks like, man. So, man, the good thing is, so far on these first 3 consoles, they haven't been opened before. I mean, like, I'm sure the plates have been taken off, but like the warranty seal has been on all 3 of them, which is cool to see. All right, fan reveal time. And the bottom actually doesn't look as bad as that first console, but the top is just absolutely filthy. And I just took a photo of this little portion right here because it's caked in dust, and I can kind of get a glimpse of the heatsink, and whoa, it looks bad. So let's go ahead and take this motherboard out and take a look at the heatsink. All right, so flip this over, and it's actually not too bad. It was just that one portion I saw that was really caked. There's nothing compared to that GameStop PS5 I had a few months ago. That is one of the worst ones I've ever seen. Definitely the worst PS5 I've seen. Now, I will say the power supply is kind of caked in dust, so we'll have to blow that out because a power supply caked in dust is a bad sign. You know, honestly, I think console number 3 is probably the best one so far. There's really not much physical damage, and it's just dusty. You know, it needs a good blowout and some cleaning up, but other than that, not bad. So on to console number 4 now, and this one had a couple problems. First of all, it did have a good bit of physical damage. As you can see, there's a broken piece there. That piece is like misaligned. There's some other misaligned pieces here. This part of the front plate is broken. And of course, this is the one where the disc would eject, but it was like really slow coming out. So I'm gonna have to open up the disk drive and see if we can fix that. But let's go ahead and pop off this plate here. We got some like weird residue here, and it almost looks like somebody dropped it on the concrete, and this is like a bunch of concrete dust is what I'm gonna call it. Surprisingly, all of these consoles look like they were dropped, but still work. All right, so first victim you can see is this little screw in the corner is bent because I'm assuming it was dropped in this corner. You know, as you can, oh, something just fell inside of there. All right, and another bent screw. This one was in the corner. It's like very slightly bent, but it is bent. All right, we'll do a fan reveal. Fan's a little bit dusty, but not bad at all. Oh yeah, that whole corner of the disk drive is bent inwards. That's why we're having issues. All right, so taking a closer look at this disk drive, obviously as you saw on the outside, it's bent inwards. And then if you look on the inside, you can see that piece right there is just bent down. And what I think is happening is it's bending down and touching this roller right here. So the roller is having a hard time ejecting the disc. It does work eventually, but I think if I can bend this upwards some and kind of get it back into place, it'll fix the issue. So it's not perfect, but I think it's actually a whole lot better. I kind of bent it outwards, so kind of up where my finger is pointing so that it's not pressing down on that roller anymore. Let's go ahead and plug it in and try it out though. All right, now let's eject. Let's go. That was definitely the issue. All right, boys and girls, we are making progress, but I do still want to take this motherboard out of the whole casing because there could be a bent portion somewhere in here. I do see the heatsink that I think is slightly bent, so let's take it all the way out and just take a look at it. All right, so I got it coming out, and the motherboard looks okay to me, but man, look at that heatsink. Got a nice little bend to it, and honestly, I don't think it's a big deal. Like, it's just a heatsink, just dissipates heat, but somebody got a real nice drop on this corner of it. Really, the only other thing I noticed, which I don't even know if I can get it on camera very well, but this little tiny corner piece right here is bent up a little bit. It's almost like they dropped it on 2 different corners. It's almost like they dropped it on this corner, and then it bounced and dropped on this corner. Because that corner is bent up a little bit, this heat sink is bent, and that corner is where we had the disk drive issue. So honestly, overall, this console is very clean, doesn't look too bad. But of course, we'll blow this out, clean it up, make notes of what's bent and that sort of thing, and then list it on the website. So last but not least, on to console number 5, and this one was also clearly dropped. You've got some marks here on the front, and then of course you've got a big giant crack or bend or whatever you want to call it back here. And one thing I've learned from making this video is that Sony clearly knew what they were doing when they designed this PS5. Now, I don't know if dropping the PS5 or shipping damage or that sort of thing was the first thing on their mind when they designed it, but I'm sure it was in their mind when they designed it. And clearly these outer plates were genius. Like, it's just an extra layer of protection for the internals, and even when those get damaged and the internals get damaged, the corner pieces all have non-critical parts of the motherboard that can get bent and damaged and doesn't really affect anything. So pretty cool to see that. Now let's go ahead and take this PS5 apart and see what's up with it. Now, top piece off, looks good. You got some scraping here. It's odd. Like, I've seen some scrapes underneath these plates on multiple consoles. It's almost like the console fell, the plate popped off, and then it scraped the PS5. I got this plate off, and one thing I noticed is this screw over here is mutilated, which is not surprising. That's clearly where they dropped it, and it's just like still stuck in the post down there. And I also just noticed that this ribbon cable down here was already popped out of the console. I don't know if that happened when I was taking the console apart or if it happened beforehand, but it appears that all this ribbon cable does is handle the LEDs over here, so not very critical. All right, so motherboard coming out, and we do have some more heatsink damage. Again, this one is actually like smashed inwards. And this is the console that has the HDMI port that's slightly damaged. I don't know if that happened from the drop or something else. But console number 5 is actually pretty solid. Other than the slightly loose HDMI port and then some physical damage, it's pretty good. And overall, all these consoles are actually pretty solid for being dropped. Like, I'm surprised all these consoles work with the drops, but after you see the design choices made by Sony, it makes sense as to why these consoles all still work, but have some physical damage. And really the worst one is console number 2, which we talked about earlier. But yeah, of course, all these consoles will be for sale down below in the description. It'll probably take me a little bit to get all of them listed for sale after I have to, got to clean them up, get them put back together, that sort of thing. But thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.